Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over our playoff and bowl game stuff. Predictions for the season, Bowl games are often frowned upon nowadays, now with the 12-team playoff, but in my opinion, they're still great football to watch. It's a lot of games you won't ever see. Random Big Ten team playing an ACC playing SEC. It's just fun games you will never see. Teams will never schedule each other unless it's for the postseason. I'm looking at some of these matchups, and I've never seen a few of these teams play before in any sport, which that's just exciting to see. That's what makes bowl games so great. Give something to cheer about at the end of the season if you obviously not make your end goal, which is winning the Natty. And then the playoffs, 12-team playoffs, second year of it. It's been an interesting year. There's only 4 real teams that we know that are going to make it, and those teams are pretty obvious. Everyone else still could be a toss-up. There's still 4 games left on the season for everyone. 4 or 5 games left. You never know what's going to happen. Anything could happen, but I think we should go ahead and get into it. So the number 1 seed overall going to the Rose Bowl is going to be Ohio State. I think Big Ten champs. I have Indiana ranked higher than Ohio State right now, but when it comes time in Indianapolis in a few weeks, or next month, I think Ohio State would take care of business. And then they'd be playing an 8 or 9 seed, which, 8-9. Game's going to be in Provo, Utah for BYU, Georgia Tech. I think 2 conference winners. Reason they're not higher is obviously just because Big 12 and ACC bid. BYU, Georgia Tech, that's still a very fun game to watch. Especially for a playoff game, 2 teams who would have thought would have benefited from NIL and benefited from a 12-team playoff. That's just super fun. And then the 4th seed will be in the Cotton Bowl. And that's Texas A&M. It's same state. I think, Houston to Dallas or Arlington. I don't know, 3-4 hours. Not bad at all. A&M will obviously take that place over, depending on who they play. And they will either be playing a 5 or 12 seed out of the SEC. Georgia as 5. And then group of 5 representative would be Memphis in this case. Memphis, the Americans been having a tough year. A really good year, I should say. Just tough that only one of these teams is going to make it. I'd rather see Navy or North Texas or Tulane. I hate Memphis, but I'd rather just see one of those 2 teams in. But Memphis, group of 5 rep. 3 seed Indiana, Big Ten runner-up. Still a great year. It's going to be tough for them to pick in the Natty, just because they have such a strong outhold coming out. But they will be playing 6 or 11 seed. This game will be up in Eugene between either the 6th seed Oregon or the 11th seed Notre Dame. I get it, Notre Dame, they do not belong in, but we all know how the committee works. The committee loves Notre Dame. They're going to give this special little treatment to Notre Dame. They do it every year. We know it's going to happen. And if they go 10-2, they're going to get in. They shouldn't, but we all know they will. And obviously, winner of Oregon-Notre Dame goes down to Miami for the Orange Bowl to play Indiana. And then finally, the 2 seed, Alabama. I think Alabama wins the SEC. I think they're better than Texas Tech. This will be in the Sugar Bowl, not too far away from T-Town, down in New Orleans. They will be playing the 7th or 10th ranked team, either Ole Miss or Texas Tech. Really between Texas Tech and BYU, 8 and a 10. That's just going to be who wins the conference. The game they play this weekend, but that game really just matters for in December. Whoever wins will be the higher seed. I think it would be fun to see Ole Miss, Alabama, second rounder in the quarterfinals, especially in the Sugar Bowl. It would be the Deep Souths or Old Souths, great rivalry, in the Sugar Bowl. That would be a fun game to watch. I think playoffs this year is going to be really exciting. As of now, it's still going to go with Bama to win it all. I just think Ty Simpson and DeBoer are playing some great football. DeBoer's coaching up some great schemes. He's a great coach. Without a doubt in my mind, I think Alabama over, hate to say it, Ohio State, onesie-twosie, but I'd love to see Indiana in there. Indiana would be awesome to see. Just as of now, we're going to stick with Bama winning it all. So let's get into some more bowl games. Just like the main bowl games now. Not playoffs, not any of that. So let's get started. With the Holiday Bowl, ACC and Pac-12 team. And obviously Utah, they're in the Big 12, but All the old Pac-12 teams will be under Pac-12 Bowl, not Big 12 or Big 10. They will still be under the Pac-12 marks. That's why a Big 12 team is going to be in half of these and Big 10 teams. But yeah, Holiday Bowl, Miami and Utah. I think that'd be a great game. You know, two top 20 teams, or I guess top 15. I don't remember. Two top 20 teams playing. That'd be a great game to see. You know, hopefully a lot of these players, go to the draft just so we can actually see just a good bowl game. That'd be fun to see. And then, one that means most to me, the Mayo Bowl, just because I have Mizzou versus Duke in it, down in Charlotte. I think that'd be a fun one. Just Mizzou and Duke, I don't think I've ever played in football. I cannot tell you the last time Mizzou played Duke in any major sport, really. Maybe March Madness in basketball like 30 years ago, but I cannot tell you the last time we ever played. And obviously winning coach gets Mayo dumped on him. It'd be fun to see Manny Diaz or possibly Drink. But both of those coaches are getting eyed by Penn State, so we'll have to see. And then the Liberty Bowl would be Houston out of the Big 12, and then LSU out of the SEC. LSU after having kind of upsetting year. Brian Kelly getting fired. Liberty Bowl is not what they had in mind. But yeah, the Armed Forces Bowl, which is a group of 5, and then, or really just anyone, and then an American Conference team. And out of the American is UTSA. They just upset Tulane last week. Great win. That will really help them improve to getting that 6-6 in bowl game eligibility. And then I have them taking on an independent team, just group of 5 and whatever. And I have them playing UConn. And then in the Vegas Bowl, that's also a Pac-12 Big 10 team. We have Arizona State out of the Big 12 or Pac-12, and then Nebraska. That'd be a fun game. I also could not tell you last time those two teams played. That's just what's so good about bowl games. You'll see a lot of these matchups that you never would see regular season. Like Arizona State, Nebraska, Missouri, Duke, Utah, Miami. Those are all fun games. And then in the Citrus Bowl, which is probably the biggest bowl game outside of the playoffs, this is like for the first two teams out, or at least SEC and then Big 10. So we have Texas and Michigan. I just think those are the first two teams out from each conference for Big 10 and SEC. I think that'd also just be a fun game, two historic programs playing against each other for a bowl game. And then the Sun Bowl would be Washington versus Pitt out of the ACC, and then Washington is the Pac bid. That's a matchup you yet again don't see. Real Look West Bowl, Tennessee and Iowa. I believe they played in some sort of bowl game a few years back. Iowa, I would even have a conversation with them for the Citrus Bowl, being the first team out. We got to see what they do against Oregon this week. If they beat Oregon, they could even be a playoff team, Notre Dame could be knocked out. Iowa could be in, which I'm all for. But Tennessee, Iowa, I think that'd be a better game this year. Now that Iowa actually has an offense, we'll just have to see. Then the Alamo Bowl would be TCU out of the Big 12 and USC out of the Pac. That's a fun one. I think Alamo Bowl is kind of getting lower and lower status now, especially after Colorado and BYU played last year. I did not like how they did that. They should have not sent Colorado there. They should have sent one of the Big 10 Pac-12 teams there, not a Big 12 team as well. Like, if you're in the same conference, you should not be playing each other. Like, I understand, obviously, like, Arizona State should be playing only, like, a Nebraska. USC should be playing TCU. USC should not be playing Nebraska in a bowl game. I get it, the Pac-12 stuff, but it's just dumb. Music City Bowl, Vanderbilt and Minnesota. Vanderbilt, that's practically a home game for them. That loss over the weekend against Texas, and then they still got to play Tennessee. That's 8-4. That's prime real estate for Music City. And then the Independent Bowl, which is just completely random. They like to take bigger teams, or like group of 4 teams, if they're available. So we have James Madison for being a group of 5 rep, and Kansas State being from the Big 12, just going down to Shreveport. That'd be a fun one, decent group, or one of the better group of 5 teams playing a smaller P4 teams. I think that'd be really entertaining to watch. And then Birmingham Bowl, which is usually between SEC and then Group of 5. I have Kansas against South Florida, which I understand, like I just said, it's either SEC and ACC, but SEC ACC bids will be full, so they're going to send Kansas down to Birmingham. Then the Texas Bowl would be, that's usually just SEC Big 12. They always like to have a Texas team in there, just from the state of Texas. So we have Baylor out of the Big 12 playing against Mississippi State. I'm sitting at 4-4 right now, or 5-4. They have a tough slate coming out. I think they'll win one more, not against Missouri, against Ole Miss at the end of the season. I really think they're going to upset them at home. Yeah. Then the Gator Bowl, another fun matchup that could not tell you the last time we've seen. Oklahoma out of the SEC and Louisville out of the ACC. I would imagine Oklahoma has been to the Gator Bowl because that used to be a Big 12 bid back in the way long time ago. Oklahoma Louisville, that's a fun matchup. You know, Miller Moss versus John Mateer. Should be a great quarterback battle, assuming both quarterbacks stay. We'll see. New Mexico Bowl, which is 2 top-tier Group of 5 teams playing. So I have North Texas out of the American playing against Liberty out of Conference USA. Just think that would be a fun one for Group of 5. If you like smaller football, that game's perfect for you. And then Arizona Bowl, which is pretty much higher table for Mountain West in the MAC. So we have the Boise State Broncos going against the Western Michigan Broncos in that. I think both of those two teams, or Boise will finish 3rd in the Mountain, and then Western might finish 1st or 2nd in the MAC. That's going to be a fun bowl game in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. It's a weird name. Then the Pop-Tart Bowl, which is a bowl game. That's the second biggest bowl game, I'd say. Or probably same size as, the Citrus. That's for ACC and Big 12 teams for the first 2 out. Obviously, Citrus is SEC Big 10 for the first 2 out, while Pop-Tart is first 2 out for the other 2 conferences. So we're going Virginia and Cincinnati. That's a great matchup. 2 teams no one expected to be anything this year playing against each other in a bowl game. I think that would just be so much fun, especially in a game like the Pop-Tart Bowl. Obviously, we all know the Pop-Tart Bowl, what it was last year for Iowa State Clemson, or Iowa State Miami, pardon me. Someone eats a Pop-Tart at the end of the game. It's always fun to see. And then the Fenway Bowl, which is between the ACC and then the American. We have Wake Forest, who's sitting at 5-3 right now. Yeah, 5-3. And then ECU. Little Carolina state rivalry there. It seems like ECU always plays against Carolina teams in bowl games. They played against NC State a bunch of times in bowls. Duke, maybe. Yeah. But that's just a fun one to see. You know, in-state rivalry up in, I guess, Boston at Fenway Park, which I'm not a big fan of bowl games being up north, but it's not up to me. And then the Pinstripe Bowl, which is at, I guess, Yankee Stadium, ACC and Big 10. So we're going to go Northwestern versus SMU. It's going to be a mighty cold game for SMU. But that'll be a fun one. Once again, that's another game I don't think we've ever seen before. Northwestern and SMU. Yeah. And then Military Bowl between ACC and then the American. I think a military service team would be going there. I mean, that's really just between Army and Navy at this point. Because the Air Force is not going to make a bowl game. But out of the ACC, we're going to take NC State. And then out of the American, we're going to take Navy. That's a fun game, too. A really good Group of 5 team playing against an ACC team. I almost feel like, Navy last year, they upset Oklahoma in one of the bowls. I think it might have been like First Responder or something, or maybe, something like that. And then that brings us to the First Responder Bowl, which is always an ACC, Big 12, and then American team. I think out of the Big 12, we have Arizona, which, they were a former Pac, but I don't think Big 12 or ACC will have enough slots, so they're going to send Pac-12 team there. And then they're going to be playing Army. I think Army will barely scrape by, get 6 wins this season. Or if not, a 5-6, because technically Navy games after bowl selection, I still think they're going to give it to them. And then the Guaranteed Rate Bowl out in Phoenix, which is always a fun game between Big 12 and Big 10. We have Iowa State versus Illinois. Seems like that could definitely be a fun rivalry game. But in this case, it's going to be a fun bowl game to watch. That game is obviously out in Phoenix, Guaranteed Rate Stadium. And then the game above Sports Bowl, that's between the winner of the MAC and then Big Ten. I think it's the bottom Big Ten team, so I think Maryland will get that bid. See Maryland going 6-6, so they're going to be going to Detroit, playing Miami of Ohio out of the MAC. And then the Hawaii Bowl, which is obviously a Mountain West team, and then Group of 5. If Hawaii goes bowl eligible and there aren't like a 10-2, 11-1 or playoff bid, they're going to be in the Hawaii Bowl. They'll be playing a home game. So Hawaii versus Temple. And then the Frisco Bowl, Frisco, Texas. That's always just 2 Group of 5 teams. We're going to take Old Dominion and New Mexico. Those are 2 decent Group of 5s, kind of mid-table Group of 5, and they're both conferences. That'll be a fun bowl game. The New Orleans Bowl, which is between the winners, or if not winners, the runner-ups of Conference USA and then the Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Out of the Conference USA, we're going to go with the winner of the conference, Kennesaw State, second year in FBS, and they are crushing it right now. They're a fun team to watch. And then out of the Sun Belt, we're going to go with the runner-up, Arkansas State. Butch Jones has them playing some phenomenal football right now. No one saw it coming, especially they're on a 4-game win streak, started off the season pretty shit. They're playing some good football right now. Then the Boca Raton Bowl, 2 Group of 5 teams. We're going to go with Jacksonville State versus Coastal Carolina. The Idaho Potato Bowl, Fresno State versus Buffalo. That's always a fun game up in Boise. Gasparilla Bowl, which is usually an SEC, ACC, and then American team. But I don't think SEC and ACC will have enough bids, so we're going to go with Western Kentucky out of Conference USA, and they're going to be playing against Tulane. You know, that's a fun game. Two of the best Group of 5 teams in the last 3-4 years. Then the Myrtle Beach Bowl, 2 Group of 5 teams. That'll be Southern Miss against Missouri State, which I think Missouri State will consider, or they will get a bid, just because I don't think there's going to be enough teams to fill the 82. There might be like 81 teams, and obviously it's Missouri State's first year in, but they've made exceptions plenty of times, like Sam Houston, Jacksonville, I think Coastal a few years back, but I think they'll get in. 6-8 Ventures Bowl, which is down in, I think, Mobile, 2 Group of 5 teams as well. UNLV and Toledo, 2 solid teams out of the MAC and Mountain West. The Cure Bowl, which will be obviously 2 Group of 5s again. App State and Utah State, 2 lower, probably like 7-5, 6-6 teams, will be fun. Then the Los Angeles Bowl, which is one of the bigger games, I guess, which will be Pac-12 and Mountain West. We're going to take Cal Berkeley out of the Pac, and then San Diego State out of the Mountain West. I think San Diego State, they could win the conference. They're top of it right now. We'll see if they win it, but if not win it, they're going to be top 3 for sure. Then the Veterans Bowl. That might be in Mobile, actually. I don't remember. That's between MAC and Sun Belt. We're going to take Troy and Central Michigan. And then the Bahamas Bowl, which the Bahama Bowl is not even in the Bahamas. No one knows. I don't know why it's still a thing. I think they might play it in Charlotte this year. I think they played it in Charlotte last year. I don't remember. That's between Ohio and Louisiana Tech. I don't know why they still call it the Bahamas Bowl. But those are the last 2 teams in from the Conference USA and MAC. I'm excited, though. We'll have to see if these are legit and whatnot. So you might be wondering, where are teams like Penn State? Where are teams like Clemson, South Carolina? South Carolina, they're not going to even make 4 wins. Where are the 2 Blue Bloods? Where's Florida State at? Simple. They're not going to make a bowl game. Penn State's 3-5 right now. They're not going to make 6 wins. Their schedule remaining out. They're not going to get to 6. Same with South Carolina. Or obviously Clemson. I think Clemson will beat Carolina, but they're not going to make that 6 wins. Their schedule out. They're not going to win. Florida State, that's probably the most reasonable team. I don't think they'll beat Florida, and if they don't beat Florida, they're not going to get 6 wins in total. So those teams won't make 6 wins. They're not going to go bowling. It's going to be weird with teams without, just like those Blue Bloods did. I cannot tell you the last time Penn State or Clemson did not make a bowl game. It always seems like they're there. It always seems like they're just going to be like in the Gator Bowl or Citrus or something, but they're not going to be in. It's a harsh reality we live in, but that's what happens when you don't use the transfer portal. Can't win a big game. I mean, James Franklin, I don't know if they should have fired him, but that's what happens. But anyway, thanks for watching. Come back next week for more stuff, and tomorrow we will have our picks of the week.